Call the meeting to order. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Kennedy, Vice Chairwoman Davis,
Present.
Alderman French, Alderman Arnowitz.
Here.
Alderman Carter.
Present.
Alderwoman Tyus, Chairman Roddy.
Present.
4 present, we have a quorum.
Okay, we have 2 board bills before us. One is sponsored by Alderwoman Tyus, who's on our committee, but she's just outside the door. The other one, I guess we'll wait to have the hearing on that until she joins us. The other board bill is 137, which is the HUD's board bill for, the block grant board bill. And we heard this last week. Is it director of CDA? I always forget.
Yes.
Okay, our CDA director is with us, and 3 of us were here. So Alderman Carter, did you have any specific questions about this, or do you want the Alderman, you want our director to go through the presentation?
He doesn't have to go through the whole presentation. I simply looked over the majority of it, so it all looks good to me.
Do you want to give him the 20,000 up, kind of a quick rundown real quick? Maybe
Sure.
the abbreviated version, or?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee members, appreciate the opportunity to be here this morning. This block grant bill contains actually 4 different segments. One is the community development block grant. That's $16.8 million. The home investment funds, that is almost $2 million. Emergency shelter grant, that is $1.3 million, and that's administered by the city's Human Services Department. And then another $1.3 million is in this bill for HOPWA. That's housing opportunities for people with AIDS, and that's administered by the city's Health Division. There's $3.2 million in this bill for our public services. There are 48 grants, 23 are new organizations. We had over 100 proposals. Each proposal was rated by 3 to 4 individuals, and then averaged. Those individuals, raters, were primarily outside folks from the philanthropic community. They were business community, professionals in various fields, as well as it was supplemented by some city staff. We got $1 million in this bill for our LRA board up, same money as last year. $800,000 is in the bill for our minor home repair, with senior home security having the largest amount, and they doing their work citywide. And then we had 4 community development, CUBDOs that each received $40,000. They will also do home repair in a sector of the city. We have $2.5 million in for the Healthy Home Repair Program. As you know, that's a program where we would spend up to $30,000, $10,000 of which is forgivable loan. The other $20,000 would be at a 0 interest rate and sold generally at the or called matured generally at the time of sale of the property. I have $2.4 million in for housing production, $600,000 for economic development, $500,000 for Better Family Life for a 3rd floor build out. They're going to have a banking facility, business assistance center, and an incubator on that 3rd floor. The $1 million for People's Health Center. This is for a mental health facility that will be built on Delmar, and they're in the fundraising mode now, but they're well on their way to having sufficient funds to complete that construction. We have $1.3 million in here for the Section 108 loan repayment. That will be paying that out through block grant funds from now until 2020. Payments started in year 2000. That money is to pay off the Darst-Webby construction cost, as well as $10 million that was spent in neighborhoods at that time. We have we also have funding in here for the CDA admin budget for the planning and urban design for cultural resources, $400,000 for the St. Louis Development Corporation, $190,000 for the Minority Contractors Initiative, and I guess that would be the highlights of this bill. I'd be glad to answer any questions that the committee may have.
Alderwoman Davis,
No questions.
Alderman Arnowitz,
No questions, thank you.
Alderman Carter.
With the Tuck-Win program, the youth job training program, is that for a citywide? Is that a citywide program, or is it for a specific area?
Is that Harambe?
Yeah, yes, sir.
That is North. What? Let me have Bill Rata. He's our director of housing. He'll answer.
And
that.
sorry that I wasn't here last week.
It's in 20 north side neighborhoods
Okay.
is their service area. So most of the north side is covered.
Okay, cool. And also, did the CECs, did they apply for anything this year? The community education centers from the St. Louis Public Schools?
Yes.
They
yes.
did?
And they applied for a truancy reduction program, and it's funded with, I think, is it 90,000?
Yeah, I see it.
Yes.
It's 80, yeah. Okay, how did senior, I think it was the senior home services, how did they do last year, just in terms of home repair? Do we know how many people they served, or?
It was over, I believe it was over 300, but Bill?
Right. It was about 350 last year, citywide.
Okay,
Those are people served. Now, they might have gotten several types of repairs,
right,
but that's the number citywide.
okay. All right, thanks.
Let me also introduce our Director of Administration who's with us today, and that is Alana Green.
Okay. Alderwoman, I think everybody's asked their questions. Do you have
I
any
actually just met with the bureaucrat. I was gonna say the alderman. I went with Mr. Wessels yesterday because I hadn't had time, so I pretty much asked all my questions I needed to ask then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hearing no other questions, the chair will entertain a motion on this board bill.
Make a motion.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Kennedy, Vice Chairwoman Davis.
Yes.
Alderman French, Alderman Arnowitz.
Aye.
Alderman Carter. Aye. Alderwoman Tyus.
Aye.
Chairman Roddy.
Aye.
5 aye votes, 0 no votes. Board Bill 137 comes out with a due pass recommendation.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Director. You got your first budget passed.
Thank you.
Next up, Alderwoman Tyus has board bill number 131. I guess we should have checked. Did we have any speakers on for the block grant? Okay.
I don't have one.
Alderwoman, did you care to explain what you're doing in 131?
It's not actually brought visuals, which I just got. Mr. President, members of the board, Board Bill 131 is a rezoning of part of city blocks, and some of them were A, single family, and we're rezoning them to F, neighborhood commercial district. And the whole process is being done because there is and I can show you all, gas station and just not a gas station, but it's also a strip mall that we're trying to do. People call it Walnut Park, but technically it is Mark Twain. It is on the edge of Walnut Park, okay? And it's right along I-70 and Union and Berkshire. And initially I was opposed to this project because I am opposed to putting gas stations up against houses. And we had just built a new gas station across the street. It actually came under the former alderman, Mr. Troop, because it was okayed in December of 2012, so I kind of inherited it. when I was re-elected back in April. So when the people approached me, Mr. Mike Said approached me about the Crown Mart, I said no. And I know Mike because he actually started in my ward at Natural Bridge and Union when it was the 20th ward. And he took a shell and made it a Phillips 66, and he put about $250,000 extra dollars in it because up until that point, we in North St. Louis did not have a drive-through a drive-through car wash. And I encouraged Mr. Said to add $250,000 and do a drive-through car wash, and it was so successful. And we went through the things that I wanted him to do, and right during that time, we did redistricting. And so I lost him to the 22nd Ward, but he did what I asked, and it was so successful that he made it his model. He went back, he had one other gas station on Kinlan and Martin Luther King. He added the car wash, that was successful. And now, if you look all around the city, that's what he does, and mostly in North St. Louis. And it's a store and a car wash and gas station. Well, when he approached me, one thing I have to give him, even the 10 years I was out of office, I'm pretty severe about I don't like signage, I don't like people outside trying to sell things. So he kept his word. I was really impressed with him. So when he came back, even though I didn't want a gas station, what was interesting to me is that it's very hard to plan for the Mark Twain Walnut Park area because people have such stereotypes of it. And so I said to him a couple of things. One, I want you to have minority partners, which he added minority partners ownership. Another thing is that I want to see something that is more than a gas station. If I have to go along with this to get something else done, I will. So, and when he approached me, he had already purchased several pieces of property. And I was kind of surprised because I had been working with those people, these pieces of property. It was supposed to be some kind of barbecue stand. And so he had already purchased the property on Union. And I said, well, that's not enough. So if you want to do this, you also have to purchase all of the property on Geraldine because you have to put up berms and trees, and because I think gas stations are attractive nuisances, okay? And it's going to change the character. So I also mailed out letters. I called people. We had ward meetings. Some of the people are here today. Some got their letters. Some said they didn't get the letters. So we are going to meet with the people who are still having concerns, and if they really don't want it, I don't want to put anything in their neighborhood that they don't want, because I don't live there, but what they said, they're not opposed to it. They wanted to make sure I'm not doing it in eminent domain, and that they don't want to know the process. So I have agreed, if they're not against it, that I would meet with them right after this to go over whatever other questions they had. But several of the people did say they get their letters. Whenever I do something like this, I actually find out how many owner-occupied properties, how many properties. One of the problems we have over in the Mark Twain area is value is very depressed. And so the people who sold out early felt like they called me thanking me, saying how their house had only been valued at $20,000 and they got whatever amounts, and so they were very happy. Other people are still negotiating. So what we decided to do was to do this in a couple of steps, to do a first part and a second part. As we work, because they want to get started on one part of it, but the intent is to go from all the way, that would be Lillian here on Union. Across the street is a church, and so they have done a really good job of cleaning up the church, and they also, across the street at the corner is another gas station. And so what we're, in the intent is to clean that block up between Lillian and Bircher so that it is a place that if you would drive off of it, it would look like any other neighborhood where you got off and there were gas stations and a place to, we're trying to talk to somebody about a sit-down restaurant. The church is working with us because they have all kind of functions there, and so they complain that when they have other churches come in, that there's no place for them to eat. It's not going to be anything fancy, but some place where they could go over and have something to eat, okay? I wish before Miss Robbie had got so important, I wish I would have got her, because I started going to her in the 90s, and I've known her since I was a child. She would be my first person to ask to do that, but we're looking for a restaurant, and we want to have some other small shops. But right now, the part that we're talking about rezoning is not on Union. This is the front of Union, but behind here, which would be the berms, and that is on the Geraldine part. And it would only be half of this project done right now, not the full, and we would do a step 2.
I'm sorry, where is Union at?
This would be facing Union, right here.
Okay, so the map that they have before us,
See here. It's Geraldine. See, Geraldine is behind. Okay, let me see what they have here. So they put Bircher. Okay, so Bircher runs along I-70. You can see 70 right there. When 70 was created, it's like what they did in the Hill. They cut right through the neighborhood, okay? So when you look there, that's Bircher right there, and then Union is right there in front of it. And then Geraldine, what they have circled, those are the ones that we want rezoned, the one that's in the black square.
okay, but this entire project right now, oh, okay, that makes sense. So what you're going to end up doing then is expanding across the alley, and kind of the back of the project would be Geraldine, is that correct?
That would be, yes, right. Most of the commercial would face abut Union, but I insisted that Geraldine be purchased also so that we could do the berms and the trees and the abutment and make sure that the people who live across the street would not in any way be hampered or have their lifestyle change greatly.
Let's go through this, my committee list. Forgive me if I go out of order, I can't find my list here. Alderwoman Davis, do you have any questions? I took my
I
list.
don't know if it's really questions
Oh,
or
here it
not,
is,
but first of all, that's a very impressive project. I think you're going to end up with a jewel in the entire city. I was impressed with the one that they did on Vandervender, but that surpasses all of them. I don't have one in my ward. I don't know why they don't like me, but I don't have one. But when you can bring services to a community, and that's a lot of jobs by the time that project is finished, that's a great thing. And then you bring in a good service provider who cares about their property, will keep it clean, and that helps protect you in that immediate neighborhood. So maybe we'll have a conversation so I can see how I can get one.
Thank you. Well, he's coming home, and since he never paid me for my original idea, he's paying me back by putting a lot of money in this one.
That is nice.
Alderman Arnowitz, any questions?
Just want to say kudos to the Alderwoman. It's always nice to bring businesses into the city, that we can cover up a lot of places that need to be rebuilt. So I think it's a great idea, and I'm very supportive of it for you.
Thank you.
Alderman Carter?
I just want to mirror some of the other comments. I think that this is a great addition to your ward and
To yours.
right on my border. So I'm gonna claim it too. But no, this is something that's gonna be wonderful for the area, and I'm glad that you just didn't thank them for the gas station. I'm glad that you asked them for more. So I can't wait to see it, and I can't wait to join you for lunch at the sit-down restaurant. One more question though.
Yes, sir.
So they're going all the way down to Lillian, where Union Market is? They taking Union Market?
No, Mr. Salama, our favorite corporate citizen, would not, the two problems that we have, Mr. Salama's at that corner, so he may just be down there by himself. We tried to get him to join, even though he and Mr. Saeed are in a legal lawsuit right now because he's suing Salama about the one down on 13th and Cass, because Salama, they built it together, then they didn't get along, so he let Salama buy him out, then Salama didn't pay him. But I was trying to make it something that everybody could work together. So Mr. Salama refused. So we wouldn't actually get that corner, which is horrible looking.
Paid if you would have got the car.
Well,
I mean, it's still
but
gonna be good.
I'm not doing eminent domain. That's his property. He doesn't want to do it. I told the people here, anybody that doesn't want to do it, they don't have to do it. But this is something that we can make happen. But Mr. Salama doesn't want to do it. He's mad about a project at St. Louis Avenue and Kings Highway. So he's not doing it. The other problem we have, the one other problem is that across the street, the church owns a piece of property in the middle of this, and across the street, former First Ward Alderwoman Irene Smith owns some property. It's a abandoned gas station, and so she's being a bit reluctant also.
In that old beat-up white building?
That is correct.
Oh, man.
So what I'm going to do, though, the church has been willing, because they're so excited about this, because they wanted to consolidate all of their property, because they own the 2 houses next to the church, and they were going to buy the other 2 houses that's on the other side of her property, and they were going to consolidate all of their property on that side. So we would have had a beautiful block, but sometimes it doesn't happen just the way you want. So because we have other property up and down Union, the church has been willing to work with me to see if they could relocate their building someplace else, because that was their original church. But they're so excited about this being a potential, because they said they never thought anything like this. And like I said, I don't think gas stations are the end all in.
No.
It's just so that it's so hard to try to get something over in that area, and so this was like my compromise to bring something else if I didn't have to. If I could just make it all strip mall, I would have, but I just couldn't get him to spend that kind of money right there.
Thanks. No more questions.
We have one speaker, if you're done, Alderwoman. James Bolton signed up to speak. Mr. Bolton?
I might need your assistant here. How you doing? My name's James Bolton. My only complaint is that this floor mat here, or this plan for this rezoning, have been done over a year, and we're just getting wind of it within the last month. And then it's good, so they're bringing something new to the community, but for the people who've been staying there, like me, myself, my place have got burnt up, and there's a couple of other houses over there. So I'm wondering, you know, is this the stemming off of this project here? Because I've been there since '69, and now all of a sudden, my house get burnt up, and there's several other houses get burnt up, and this is no one have paid attention to me. I mean, I've been calling everybody, and I've been wanting somebody to look into this matter, because it's more meat than I.
Mr. Bolton, is your property within that zoning, within the zoning area?
No, but according to this map, according to this plan, my house would be right here. Actually, my house, my family house, we own 2 houses right here.
Oh, okay.
And so one been abandoned, but one been set afire. And there's another house right here that been totally burnt from the roof down. You can't repair. You gotta be totally replaced. And so some should be looked into that, you know.
You know what, can I say?
I feel like this is like David against Goliath in this matter.
Well, no, and you know what, I represent, I don't represent Union, but I represent close by, Claxton. And I have further down on Union, the first block, right off of West Florissant. And so what we were seeing over in that area is that we had a lot of abandoned homes and a lot of homes that were burned. And it wasn't because
Where you say?
on Claxton, Arlington, Emerson, we had a lot of homes
In the
that were set
4900 block?
on the 49 down to the 5200 block.
I've been living over there. I haven't seen that many fires.
Oh no, I can take you through,
Yeah,
and I can show
okay.
you the ones in my ward that are real
my
close
house
to you.
been there since '69. All of a sudden, this project come up, and within a year, I mean, I know this plan been on the table for like 2 years, and or more.
Oh,
My house got burnt up last October to the crisp.
I think I seen it. It's on Union, right?
Yes, it was on the news.
Right, I seen it. But no, and
O'clock in the morning.
And so what I'm saying is that I don't think that house fires spark economic development. Even though I wish that they did, because that means all the
That's
ones
your
on
opinion,
Arlington
man.
and Claxton.
I'm just saying, there's 2 houses on that block that
were
got
burned.
caught out in the weird hour in the morning. There's no electric, no gas on in those buildings. What caused this fire? The fire marshal say it was a highly flammable substance.
Oh, well,
3
yeah.
o'clock in the morning.
Oh, well, I understand your frustrations.
Now the value of my property is like $7,000. We just put $60,000 in it.
I understand.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Alderwoman.
Thank you. Sir, I do feel your pain and your voice, but what I'd like to do, if the alderperson would agree, I think if we gave you the stats on the fires in that area, you would see that there's been, I know I've paid attention for probably 5 years or more, And it's a
Justifying the
chronic,
fire because of
it's a
the
chronic situation of
average.
fires in the area. And my sister used to own a
My
house.
house was totally boarded up. I got neighbors around it.
I
There
do
ain't nobody
underst-
been
No,
looting
sir,
around there.
Sir, I do understand. But what I'm trying to explain to you is, it wasn't just about your house. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of fires in that area, and I think that if we printed out all of it for you, you would see that it really wasn't specific just to you in that immediate area. It's been an awful lot of fires. And part of it
They don't
is vandalism. You know, the folks that find it fun to set something on fire.
So you ruling out everything about this development caused some fire?
Well,
That's
first
what
of
you're
all,
saying?
that development was not started 2 years ago, because the former alderman was not working on this at all. That came up since this alderperson, and she's only been back a year, so it couldn't have been 2 years ago. Also, I don't believe that this particular business entity has to do anything like that, because they're too large, they're too responsible, and that's not anything they have to do. They'd rather pay you more money than they think it's worth and do the project. That is their track record in the city of St. Louis. So they don't have to burn your house down. And if you talk to any of the other people that they purchased their homes, you'll find out how happy they were, because based on the appraisal, they had no problems giving them more money. So I don't believe that this business entity, I would not want to suggest that. And I think it's really important to make you feel better that we pull those records of the fires in that area so that you can see how bad it really is. We know, because, you know, we talk to each other about what's going on in the area.
I live in there.
And I know you live there, but it's not just right there.
It been fires. This was a totally, I mean, it totaled out the buildings, coincidentally.
But if you
You can't
if you think
repair these
about-
buildings.
Oh, I
There ain't
understand.
been fires like that over there where I live, not in the 4 or 5 block radius where I live.
Mm-hmm.
I would have known.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Alderman Ornowitz, do you have any questions of Mr. Volt?
No.
I'm done, sir. Thank you.
Any questions, Alderman Carter? Okay. Hearing no other questions, we'll recognize the Alderwoman from the first to close.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I really feel his pain. The problem we're having is that that's not his property. That's his brother's property. And so when I spoke to him and he called me, I said to him, please have your brother contact me, because if your brother believes that something like this has happened, he said they didn't have insurance, then we will turn this into the police as a crime, and I will be behind you. But as of this date, I have not heard from his brother, okay? I had to use the assessor's records to I went up and above and beyond my personal contact from the Board of Aldermen, and some of these people are here. I sent it to one lady's sister who lives out of town, and then her sister called her. So I always do that when I'm doing development. I never get into a big fight with the residents there. So I'm going to let you know as much as I know all the time, so we don't have to come to this. But that's not his property. And he did indicate to me he thought that there had been a fire set. And I said to him, if your brother comes and says that, because it's in his brother's name, and he thinks I'm using a technicality against him, okay, but I'm trying not to do that. So I've yet to hear from his brother, and I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that to him, but he doesn't have the standing that he needs to.
The law says
okay?
you got to have standing.
Exactly. So that's been my problem, and his brother has not contacted me. And I talked to him, I guess, over a month ago now, and I've still not heard anything from him. Saying all that, I think this is a great project. As I said before, I would have loved it if it wasn't a gas station attached, but Mr. Saeed does a wonderful job. He has kept his word with me, so I'm very impressed with his gas stations. This is his new This is his new one. This is what he's starting here, okay? And he's doing that based on, he's trusting me that he can make money in that area. And to me, this is a beautiful way to enter into the Walnut Park and Mark Twain area. The cemetery down at the other end, I'm meeting with them, and so they're excited about it because they have a lot of people that come to that cemetery, and there are a lot of famous people buried in both of those cemeteries, and they don't like what the beginning of Union looked like. I mean, and we're going to be working on Union all the way down to try to clean that up. And I'm working with the people on Kings Highway. I tend to try to get corridors because people, they judge your neighborhoods by those corridors. And so I'm sorry that he's upset, but I talked to the people that came here who had some concerns. They said they don't want the project stopped. They wanted to just make sure that they were adequately included and that they will be able to negotiate their own prices, which they will be. And it is for these reasons above that I am requesting that the committee vote this bill out with a affirmative vote.
The chair will entertain a motion that we pass out Board Bill number
131.
131. It's been moved.
Second.
Request for previous roll. Hearing no objections, congratulations, Alderman. This would be a nice project.
Congratulations to the neighborhood. When you have an investment like that, other people will come and invest.
Just wanted to, but before we adjourn, we did the block grant bill today, and I think I share everybody's disappointment that, you know, for years we were able to go ahead and use those to fund our community development organizations, or CUBDOs, and we're not able to do that anymore because of some of the HUD regulations. I've been trying to be very responsive to some of the requests of committee people regarding the providing resources for planning and development. And I've been working with the executive director. We don't have it quite firmed up yet, but we think that they think that they've identified a pool of money that we can work with the commercial district program and kind of revamp that a little bit. And the goal of the program would be that we would come in with some planning money, and actually, the aldermen don't have time to do this stuff.
No, we
you know, I
don't.
mean, we can go ahead, and I've found it my own experience. You start on a project, and it will consume you. And so if you want to go ahead and create a TIF district, and the important thing, I know the Alderwoman from the first has some reservations about a TIF district. What a TIF district does is it gives you the ability to take the economic and the increment from the new development, and instead of giving it back to the developer, you can actually spend it on things around the development within the neighborhood to make the whole neighborhood more valuable. And so we hope to be able to go ahead and take a pool of money and do 1 or 2 or maybe 3 of these a year, where we would actually bring in somebody to help develop a communication program to do some of the things that the Alderwoman from the first just talked about. I mean, when you do a new development, it's incredibly time-consuming to develop consensus and bring people in and communicate with them. And so that requires, you know, a certain skill set. And then the urban planning component, and then the financial component. And what we'd like to do is go out and kind of package those different disciplines and then bring those in and focus on the commercial districts throughout the city, and really get a formalized plan that would have, you know, not only the communication component, but the urban planning component and the financial component, and then, you know, get all of that together. And obviously, this would have to get the agreement of whichever alderperson was involved, but actually bring those resources together, and then give us something that we can kind of begin visioning something better than what might exist there today. And with the use of TIF, community improvement districts, or special taxing districts, it'll give each neighborhood the ability to capture some of those tax dollars, keeping them inside the neighborhood and actually fixing up the neighborhood with them. So, well, I was very disappointed in that we've lost those, the CUBDOs, funding for all those, but we have to figure out a way to help build consensus around a solid neighborhood plan that, you know, that has a feasibility component built into it, so we can start figuring out how to do this. So anyway, we've been talking about that, and we'd like to go ahead and begin doing, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 of those a year. I think the first year, I think there's a commitment to Congressman Clay that we do something on Martin Luther King, so that would probably be the thing that we begin looking at first. And some of this is going to be talking about concentrating resources and probably tweaking what's going on in the commercial district program. But I wanted to share that with you because, you know, I really think that can help, and it's something that a number of people have said, oh, we've gone down to SLDC and we've asked them for what do we need to do to fix our strip, and they kind of shrug their shoulders and they don't really give you anything. And so this would be something that we'd like to start trying to make available on eventually on citywide, but it'll just be probably 1 or 2 or 3 projects, you know, districts a year. So that's my big announcement, I guess, and you know, bear with me, we're working with that, and we'll continue to give you updates on that program, as well as we had talked about, you know, the whole incentive program and this, all these studies and everything. So I've asked them to permanently put that on our agenda. So we should probably have, unless something comes up, 2 more meetings this year, 1 in November and 1 in December. And I'll be having Otis or somebody from over there giving us periodic updates on each of the studies. And, you know, I never know what people's interests are. So the idea is that we bring them over here, they give us the updates, and if there's something that you feel like you have a greater interest in, please let me know or let them know, and we want to make sure that you're involved and aware of what's going on over there, and that you're accessible. I've told them many times in private that a plan that is a plan that is top secret and kept in a shelf doesn't, or a safe, doesn't do anybody any good.
That's for sure.
You know, if we're going to have a plan, whether, you know, we may argue about the adoption of it and the components of it, and that's all fine, but we can't, you know, having a plan without a discussion and buy-in, it's meaningless. They can't do a plan over there and then come over here after the plan's done and expect our cooperation and buy-in. And so, you know, I view part of my job is to make sure that to the extent that anybody here is interested in what's going on over there, that we provide that opportunity. So with that, I think we're done today, and we'll adjourn today's meeting, and we'll be back.
I'm in a meeting, I'll call you
I
back.
think November 19th, unless something else comes up. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.